Welcome into this first carrier update of the second hour presented by Powerfleet. I'm Tony Mulvey, joined by Donnie Gilbert. Donnie, looking at another index so we don't talk about a whole lot.
So we've talked about outbound tender rejection rates 1,000 times, mentioned it probably once or twice every show. Well, we also have another index that's called the inbound tender rejection rate. And it's basically the same thing as outbound, except instead of using the origin market, we're going to use the destination market. So we have all the loads that are in the system. Instead of picking outbound from LAX, we'll say, what about all the loads that deliver inbound to Salt Lake City, and using that as the destination, and then we'll run the rejection rate report based on the destination. And this helps describe and let people know which markets carriers are more willing to run to at a contracted rate. Almost forgot my word contracted there. And so by measuring this, we can see where they're willing to go. So here on this little chart here, I've just thrown a few up there. Inbound here on the blue line, inbound tender rejection rate for Miami, Florida is 5.89%. Salt Lake City, 5.38%. And San Francisco, 6.33%. Now, of course, we know that the rejection rates are really low right now, so I expect these to be really low because right now, with contracted rates well above spot rates, carriers are much more willing to run most all lanes at a contracted rate versus spot right now. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then you factor in fuel surcharges, things like that. It's just, there's that benefit as well.
But you can still look in. But, you know, basically when we're looking here, it looks like carriers are going to be more willing to run to the Salt Lake City market at a contracted rate over San Francisco and Miami right now. And of course, you can see the ups and the downs. You see where the yellow here, San Francisco, jumped up to over 9% here at the 19th. But here near the end of the month, I'm sure rates are going up going into San Francisco. So it's actually sliding back down to the 6.33%. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it makes sense to see that kind of move down here at the end of the month.
Yeah. Next chart here. We can throw this in, of course. I love my heat maps here. So throwing this up here, we're going to see a lot more rural markets with these higher percentages. So Rapid City, South Dakota, 14.65% inbound tender rejection rate. Evansville, Indiana, kind of surprising to see it number 2 being in Indiana, but 13.81%. Number 3, Omaha, Nebraska, 12.58%. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 12.57%. Des Moines, Iowa, 12.49%. So again, you can take this heat map, you can sort it by value. You can look at the change between 1 week, monthly, or yearly. But I love my heat maps. You can go alphabetical if you want to. But you can sort these by the actual change or the percentage change. So that's why I love using my heat maps here. But number 1, Rapid City, South Dakota. Next, if you want to, you can throw it on a U.S. map here on the next chart. And it's very similar to our OTRI, but it's ITRI, and you can get a good visual. And you see up here in the Midwest, these higher numbers right here. But this is just different ways that you can look at it per your preference.
Awesome. Well, thank you for this update, Donnie. We'll be sure to check in with you again a little later. Right now, toss it back over to Kayleen Thomas.